I've just created 7 different serum patches for bass music, and I'm going to show you exactly how I made them. So let's start with bass number 1. So this is the kind of bass you use at the first beat of each bar as like an intro before you introduce other bass sounds. So that's why I've just got it at the start here, and it sounds like this. And I've just got it on E1. So before I go any further, I'm just going to show you what's on the bass bus, because this will affect how your basses sound. So I've just got an EQ, getting rid of any muddiness and boosting a little bit of the low frequencies. And I've got a Pro L, just stopping anything from clipping, because I am producing quite loud here. So let's have a look at the first patch. So this is basic shapes, and it's on -1. And then we're using wavetable position 7 on a unison of 7, and then we've detuned it slightly to 0.2, changed the bend to 63, turn the phase and rand off, and turn the level down. And then we've created this LFO here with envelope and a quarter rate, and then we've drawn this on, as you can see, bent it a little bit here, and then bent this all the way up to give this wide noise. So if I turn everything off and then turn them on one by one, you'll be able to hear it, what it sounds like on its own. Then let's add the sub. We've got it on the triangle at -1. This is on -1 as well, just to give it a bit more depth. And then we've got the filter with the complete cutoff and the drive up a little bit on 9% and the res on 21. Going through oscillator A, not through the sub. And then we've got this LFO going in to the cutoff here, but let's introduce them one at a time. So this envelope here is on the mix of this, and this just gives it a bit more depth as well. And we've got distortion on hard clip, on the drive on 85%. And then we've got a compressor on it without the multiband on. And then that's it. So the LFO is only going into the 3 levels here. You can ignore the 4th one. And then this is only going into the hyper here. And you get this sound. We have got a little bit of post-processing on it. And we've got a sidechain on it as well. So I've waxed this sidechain on. And when it's playing with the kick, it sounds like way better because it ducks. So if I play it, you can see how much it's ducking when the kick plays. And it just gives the kick space and also gives the track some movement. So I recommend whacking a sidechain on. This is just a compressor, and then I've clicked this sidechain button, and then I've attached it to the kick group. And then you can just adjust these frequencies along here. So I've got it on 1.66 there, and you can adjust these as well, and the threshold and the outputs. So we've got an OTT on it as well. This is on 32% and 100% time, and then we've just boosted some of these up here like this, and adjusted these slightly, just to give it even more oomph. Then I've just got utility and a limiter on, because I always put them on the end as standard, just to stop any clipping or anything like that. So that's the first sound done. I recommend using this as a one shot for like in this position here at the start of your first beat of the drop. Or you could try making a melody with it, see how it goes. And then of course experiment. So you could add another oscillator. Let's have a quick experiment. Put this on the LFO. That sounds pretty cool. And you get the idea. Just experiment, see what other sounds you can come up with this as your bass. Or just take the sound and see what you can come up with in your track with this sound. So let's listen to bass 2 now. So this is like a low-end Grotty Wub style bass, and this is quite common in bass music, for like the more heavier side. Let's have a look at the serum patch. So here I'm actually using one of the ones from Massive. So this is from the Massive wavetables. So you can get these for free if you just search them on Google, search Massive X wavetables, and then you can drag them in. So I'll just show you quickly. So you see if we go into serum presets and then we go into tables, you can just drag them in here, and then you can drag them in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you just rescan your plugin folder here, and then they'll appear. So I've used a sine square here, and then I've put it -1, -1 octave, and then unison 4, detune 0.11, blend 31, got the rand on for this one, and then wave position 239, and then we haven't got anything on the level here. So you can see how creative you can be. You just put in a level on like this, and then this band. So I'm just shaping with this band instead, which is just in normal here. And then that shapes the sound with the drive on 21 and the fat on 100. And it's going through all the elements, including the sub this time. And then I've shaped this on envelope and half rate. So you can see I've gone into quite a lot of detail how I wanted it to look. And then the post-processing is a diode 2. And then you've got the LFO going into it here as well. And then we've got a compressor on it with the multiband on this time. The gain up, the threshold down. And then this flanger is like an extra thing you could add on. So if you'd like. So let's have a look at the pattern for this one. So this, I'm just using E1 and D sharp 1 to create a melody. And then we've got the same side chain on here. And then we're using another OTT, which is literally just copied from the other one, just because I like to put it on for depth. And then the utility and limiter as well. Now let's have a look at the third sound. So you might have heard this in a lot of MPH tunes. This is like a Reese bass styled to go with bass music, and it's becoming more and more popular. And I'm just playing it on G1. So let's have a look at this one. So this is two basic shapes, so oscillator A and oscillator B. And if we turn off all the things, it sounds like this. Doesn't actually make that much difference turning them off. But this is just two basic shapes, both on -1. We've turned the thin, the sense, to -26 and +31. And then we haven't really changed much else. The rand is off. The wave pair positions are both on 2. And it creates that sound. So it's really simple sound. Oh, the LFO is on here, just doing a little bit of something. Adding some frequencies by EQ. So we've got a tube frequency. The reason why that tube is doing it is turned off. Let's turn this up a little bit. Nice. And then we've got this MG low. The first one with the cutoff down a little bit just to stop any high frequencies coming through. And then we've got a compressor on it with the multiband on. And then this EQ, yeah, on here, you can see is affecting it. So you can experiment with this. You might want some cool, crazy sounds like that in your track, who knows? Just experiment. And And then again, we've got the side chain going off because it creates that really cool rhythm, like without it. Listen to it without. Sounds really rigid, but with this it's like. And then we've got that same OTT on again. Can't go wrong with it. And then utility and limiter. Now let's look at bass number 4. Now this is like one of my more signature sounding bass sounds. You might recognize it from one of my tunes, Skanking Crew. Now this is actually a wavetable that I've made myself, and it is available as part of my bass production collection on my website. There's a link in the description. It's on arcnade.com if you want to check that out. Now it's got this wavetable, so this is what it looks like originally. And then you change it up and it goes like this. Where was it? Yeah, there you go. And it creates this really cool harmonic sound. So this is playing this melody on E1. And now let's go through the actual sound. So let's turn everything off and turn it on one by one. So oscillator A is doing this. Wavetable position on 67. And it's going through the envelope and 1/4 rate, just slightly up. Sounds like that. And then we add this filter, which is on the multi, LBH12. And we've got the LFO running through the drive and the morph. Gives it that more bouncy feel. And then if we come to the effects tab, we've got the hyper. Widening it up a little bit. And then a compressor on multiband, and that's where the sound really pushes through. Then we just got a little chorus as well. And you've got a solid wub sound. And then again, we've got the side chain on. No OTT this time, but feel free to experiment with your post-processing. Typically, I like to use Saturn 2, Trash 2, OTT, maybe Valhalla, if you want to get experimental, Decimal 2, Decapitator, and Camel Crusher. Now let's listen to bass number 5. So this is like a standard old bassline tune you will have heard in loads and loads of tunes. And this is just basically FM synthesis. So FM from B to A using basic shapes, a basic sine wave. So I'll show you exactly how this one's made. So let's go through it bit by bit. So we've got literally just a sub bass on -2. And I am working in E2 now. So you can see E2 and B2 there. Just because I like to work in the 1 range and the 2 range sometimes. All it is an octave higher. And then I've just changed the serum to be -2 instead of -1. It doesn't make any other difference really, other than where you're playing on the keyboard. So this is literally just a sub bass currently with a LFO on it, and the rate of 1/4 and envelope is on. I've just shaped it like that and put it on 72. And then I've put this FM on from B, which will activate in a minute when I turn it on. And I've put this on 40%. And then just turn the rand off. Now let's turn oscillator B on. And this is on +1 and +4. And then you'll see this starting to kick in. Just like that. The level turned off. This is now going into here through here. So if I change this, you start to get those crazy different sounds. And then if we turn this off, it's just this oscillator A playing now. No sounds coming from here. So yeah, have a play around. You could increase this to 7 or +2. Or just have it as nothing. And then I've just added another sub just for the sake of it. Just to make it even heavier. Probably a bit overkill, but why not? And then we're on MG low 18. Going through oscillator A and B, but not the sub. And then the the cutoffs on this 5522. Got the drive up on 66%, res on 10%. And then let's add that hyper in. You can hear it getting wider now. Compressor on multiband. And that's it. And then we've got the compression on again. So obviously you can play around with this. You might want to get a different kind of sound to that. But I like that one. So let's see what else you could do. So +7. Yeah, just have a little experiment, see what else you can come up with. Now let's move on to bass number 6. So this is the melody for bass number 6. So this is kind of like a jacking style, pluck style bass. That's quite heavy on the front. But let's play it with the drums as well. With that side chain coming through and that OTT coming through. This is exactly the same one. This is for your more bouncy style tunes. So let's have a quick look at this one. So let's turn everything off. And here we've got it on Juno. So this is analog and Juno. And then wave player position 1, -2. And then we've got this LFO starting right at the top here on envelope a quarter. That's why it sounds like a pluck. Just dragged on here. Envelope 2, we've got playing plucky as well. So if I were to change this. Oh, the cutoff needs to be on, my bad. You can just shape it even more like that. Now I've completely ruined the sound. I need to get it back to where it was. But you get the idea from that. I can make it even shorter. Just gives you a little bit more control. So yeah, this envelope is coming in to the cutoff here. We just got it going through A on 65 and on 33. And then we just got the fat on 20% and the res off. And then if we look at the post-processing, we've got distortion on tube. And that brings the frequencies through and sounding really nice. And then a chorus on HPF mode. And then a compressor without the multiband on, just boosting it a little bit more. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And you might want to experiment, add another oscillator if you're feeling brave. Hey, that sounds pretty good. And yeah, experiment. This sound has just a bass level. It's got a lot of potential for adding more to it. So see what you can come up with. Try some crazy wavetables on oscillator B. And then finally, we've got this bass, which is more of an 808 style you might hear in like a garage tune. So I recommend making this if you want more bouncy, light garage tunes, and then adjusting it to your taste. So here's the melody for this one. G2 D3, G2, A2, D2. And let's have a look at it. I haven't got a sidechain like this time because they're quite short notes and it was getting rid of the sound. But I've got a decimal on, which I'll turn on at the end. So this is simply basic shapes on a sine wave. And then we've like ramped it up with some distortion and compression. So let's turn everything off so you can hear what it sounds like. Literally just a sine wave. -2. And then we've got this plucky style again on here on 68%. And then we've got a filter on, cutting off even more highs with a drive up to give it an initial boost. And then in here we've got the distortion. Going 100% on the drive like this, on a silent mode. And then a compressor. Boosting the frequencies to crazy. And we've turned it down to 0 on the highs, 100, and then 144 on the lows. And that just sounds crazy. And then we've got this decimal on. Just to give it even more depth. I think that sounds way better in my opinion. Action movie setting, of course. And just the utility and the limiter. So have a little play around with that one. See what like fast melodies you can come up with. And that is all 7 sounds complete. Thank you for watching. If you think I missed any sounds, let me know in the comments. And I can make another tutorial in the future to cover those. If you want to check out my sample packs and coaching, my website's down below. Just click the link and check it out. And I'll see you all in the next one.